Hello and welcome to the final day of Theory Live. Thanks to all of you that have been with us all week. And for those of you that are just tuning in, we are grateful to have you and for your help today. I'm the founder and CEO of Theory Marketing Partners, and we're a consulting group that makes your brand marketing compelling, effective, and focused. And that's what we're here to do today, live on YouTube. And so normally what we do with our clients is we do a workshop setting where we go through three elements to create a brand together, where we look at the company, the values, the competitive frame, and the customer, and then use that to create a simple and powerful positioning statement that we can all ladder up to. But because of the circumstance, we would normally be in a room with sticky notes all around a table, but obviously that can't happen right now. So we decided to innovate our own process and try something really, really bold and push the limits of where branding has gone. So we look to our own brand values to innovate. Firstly, our chief value is generosity. And so we wanted to share our methodology out with anybody that wants to listen. Our second value is transparency. We wanted to really give a view into how these decisions are made and thought through. And then finally, our last value is collaboration. And this is so important. And what has really driven the success of our methodology is collaboration. And so we're opening it up for anybody to help contribute to this brand story. So far this week, about 30% of our final decisions have come from you, the audience. And we're so grateful for that. So the contribution has been amazing. The collaboration with the public has been really productive. And so if you'd like to continue to collaborate today, the way to do that is to write in the YouTube comments. We have an audience representative, Eliza, to respond to you in the chat and to take your thoughts and put them onto our virtual whiteboard. So if you'd like to contribute, and we highly encourage you to do that, please type your comments into the YouTube chat. As I mentioned, this is the final day. We've done an analysis of our company, our customer, and our competition. And now we're going to combine all of that into a brand statement. There's a famous adage that says, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. And what we've done this week is taken the time. And so now we're going to work toward building this really simple and concise statement. We have three rules for that. The first rule is that it should be rational. It should literally say what we do and the value that we create. The second is that it should be emotional. It should also appeal to the emotional side of value. And then finally, it should be obvious. Our limit and our challenge is 10 words or fewer. The best positioning statements that we come up with are about 8 words. So that's going to be our challenge today, is to make this final branding statement. So I wanted to turn it over now to the team for everybody to introduce themselves once again and say hi and what their role is.
I'll start as always. Hi, everyone. I'm Eliza Garland. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Theory Marketing Partners. I have been and will continue to be your audience representative this week and today. I've had so much fun brainstorming with you in the YouTube chat, and I can't wait to see what we come up with today. You will follow along on our Miro board for anyone who's just joining us, and look for your answers and responses in the blue sticky notes. And if you have any comments, questions, or just want to say something, type it in the YouTube chat and I'll make sure it gets heard. And Elizabeth, would you like to go?
Yes, thanks, Eliza. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Cook. I'm the Director of Communications Strategy here at Theory Marketing Partners. So I manage public relations strategy and execution for our clients, and also help in these awesome brand workshops that we do with our fantastic clients like Seed and Mill. We've had a great week thus far, and I'm so excited to be here on our final day. The positioning day is one of the most fun and challenging days or exercises that we do in our brand workshop. Thanks to you all so much for your active participation. We really could not have gotten where we are without you. And I'll now hand it over to Tulio.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tulio Espinosa. I'm the Senior Marketing Strategist here at Theory Marketing Partners. And over the past week, I've been helping out with all the technical aspects of our live streaming, and I'll be doing that again. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what we come up with today. And with that, I'll hand it over to Rachel from Seed and Mill.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Simons. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of Seed and Mill. I wanted to tell you about what Seed and Mill does, but I'm almost going to hold my breath and I'm going to wait for the big reveal about our positioning statement and leave you in a little bit of suspense to see how we end up describing our brand. But before I pass over to Yaninka, I really do want to say thank you to those who've been here for the last 4 days. I'm really grateful and truly humbled that you're back here today. Your contribution has been enormous and truly more than I expected to hear and listen to you guys from, and I really valued that input. So we launched a little competition at the beginning of this week to invite you to submit photos and experiences and how you connect with Seed and Mill, and we offered a discount code for anybody who submitted a photo. But on reflection and after, we've really felt all of the engagement and all of the love that we've had from each of you listening in during the week. We really wanted to extend that offer to everybody. Whether you submitted a photo or not is really not our point. We really do want to say thank you, and we'd love to stay in touch. So please email us at info@seedandmill.com. And we would love to send you a 50% discount code for your next order that will be valid for 4 months. And please, we would like to hear from you and stay connected. And I'll pass over to Yaninka now.
Hey everyone, I'm Yaninka van Bennekom. I have been with Seed and Mill from the start, basically. And because we have a very small team, we all wear many hats, but my main focus is on wholesale relationships, online sales channels, as well as some digital marketing things such as the website, the newsletter, some social media, etc. And it's been a really, really great workshop so far. So I'm very excited to see how it all comes together today.
Amazing. And thank you all for those great intros. Before we get into our final exercise, I want to take a moment to take a look at all of the decisions that we've made so far this week, because it's been quite a lot and we've done a lot of work to get to the point that we're at today. What we've done is we've put it together in a final deck. So this is actually what the final deliverable for our brand workshops will look like. And we're obviously missing the final positioning statement, but we have, this is typically what you see at the end of it. Folks have called this the most robust, thorough brand book they've ever seen. And so this is where all of these decisions belong in this final deliverable. So I actually want to turn it over to Eliza to present this and just to run through what the final brand book will look like.
Thanks, Andy. So as you and the audience have known, if you've been following along, you have seen our Miro board full of lots of different color sticky notes, and lots of difficult decisions have been made throughout the week. And what we have here is what those sticky notes become. So this is the beginning of our brand book. It's a culmination of all the decisions we've made throughout the week, and will also include the decision we make today. This, keep in mind, is the beginning of it. We will fill out some more things as our team goes on. But yeah, to begin with, for our first page, this here came from our what, how, why exercise. So for anyone who was here that day, we determined, or anyone who wasn't, we determined what Seed and Mill does, how they differentiate themselves, and why they do it. Why did they start this company, and why is it that they get up every morning and work really hard to get these products made and delivered to you, the consumers. And next, we also came up with our 20-year vision. So this came back from day one. where we determined these milestones. So at 5 years, Seed and Mill would like to build a team with dedicated functions and have leaders with expertise in different skill sets. At 10 years, they'd love to expand their product line to offer more than just sesame seeds. 15 years, they'd love to be a globally recognized brand, and that's to be sales channel agnostic. So not only in store with distributors such as Whole Foods, but also on e-commerce and potentially other channels as well. And 20 years from now, they want to be an iconic and beloved brand that's synonymous with our brand values, which we will go to. Before that, just to recap a little bit, what is a brand identity? A brand identity, this is what we're going to be working on today. It's a simple and powerful statement that guides everything we do, including how we look and how we talk to the world. And this starts with our brand values, which we determined through, as you know, several dozen stickies. And we voted on these 3 values, which are connection, global, and joyful. But when we say these words, when we say connection, what we really mean are all of these sub-definitions that came from our dozens of stickies: community, collaborative, family-oriented. When we say global, the definition of that is cultural, rooted, worldly, heritage. And when we say joyful, we mean authenticity. You can't be joyful without being authentic, down to earth, wholesome, natural, energetic. And these things, I feel really confident, really encompass the values at our Seed and Mill. We also determined our competitive frame. So this helps us see, we put on the map all of our competitors, how they talk about their products. Do they talk about their products in an emotional or a rational way? Do they talk about their foods based on the way they taste or based on the function or benefit that the consumer will receive by eating these products? And what we decided was that Seed and Mill would be an emotional brand that focuses their storytelling and their brand image on the taste of their food rather than the function and benefits. And to just clarify this for anyone who wasn't there on this particular day, that's not to say that Seed and Mill will not also talk about some functions and benefits, but we will lead by being a taste first brand, and function and benefits will be secondary to that. We also went through our competition to figure out where can Seed and Mill stand out in the crowd. We decided what our categories for differentiation are here in our titles on the left. So we decided that most of the competitors in this landscape are occasion based. So are you occasion based because you're going to be an indulgence that you only maybe dip into that rock of chocolate, once every long while, or gift it to someone because it's special? Are you going to be a Justin's that you're going to eat this peanut butter every day or potentially use it in your cooking on the regular? And what we determined was that compared to our competitors, Seed and Mill is going to be a always accessible. It's going to be like an everyday indulgence that's going to be something you might treat yourself to, or you might mix the ingredients of Seed and Mill products into something that you would eat every day. We also looked at dietary preferences and the functions of these foods. A lot of these companies are aimed at vegan eating. They're allergy friendly. And while Seed and Mill is also those things, the thing we decided to focus on is the clean ingredients and that nostalgia piece that is really important with a lot of these sesame seed based foods. And lastly, we looked at our competitors' strengths and decided that if this is what everyone else is strong at, here's what Seed and Mill will be strong at. And we're really strong at being thoughtful, approachable, sophisticated, but approachable is a really big differentiator here. So this helps us decide that we are not, this is where we're going to stand out. It's not that we aren't also maybe these things, but this is going to be our soapbox on which we stand. We also yesterday had the very fun exercise of coming up with our core customer. So everyone meet Sam. Sam is a 34-year-old female. She lives in Brooklyn with her husband and her 2 young kids. She is a PR professional who also teaches yoga part-time. We went further into her demographics, such as being health conscious and the places she likes to shop, such as Whole Foods and Anthropology. we determined that we as a group decided that she's close to her family. She gets a lot of her advice from her friends, but she also follows specific Instagram accounts that are health, nutrition, and recipe based because she loves to cook. And we also look deeper into her aspirations and her fears. So she really cares about making the world a better place. She doesn't want the world to pass her by. She feels the need for connection in her community and with her family and friends. She likes to be outside, and health is important to her, but just as much as being balanced is important. And her biggest fears are losing her direction in life. When she reads the news, she gets frustrated at all the conflict she sees, and she wishes that she could do something more to contribute to the world and ease those conflicts. So as you can see, this goes far beyond just a typical demographic, who is your customer, age range. We choose a very specific person, so that way we know every time we create a Facebook ad, or we write an email to our customers, or post a photo on Instagram, we're posting that for Sam. And it gives us a much easier lens with which to write the copy, to pick the images. And that's not to say that we don't also want to speak to many other customers. It's just that, as Andy mentioned, Theory Marketing Partners, we fully believe in making your brand marketing focused. It makes it more compelling and effective when you do that. And it actually reduces the risk when you focus really heavily on one specific person, one specific type of person. And lastly, we need to fill in this blank today, which is our positioning statement. So what does Seed and Mill do? And with that, I'll turn it back to Andy to get the day started.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for running through that, Eliza. So that's just a preview of what the final deliverable will look like. This is a deliverable that is really consistent across all of our clients. So we kind of plug into this formula and make sure that it fits their specific industry. And what we found is it's really remarkably consistent. We get really great results. Doesn't matter what industry it is. We get that because, again, we collaborate so heavily. So extracting the knowledge that the founding team has, that the customers have, and organizing it into this framework works extremely well. So that's kind of our formula. If you're interested in something like this, please feel free to get in touch. There's a contact form for us on our website at theorymarketingpartners.com. And please feel free to reach out. I'll be responding personally to each and every one of you. So please don't hesitate if you have any questions or comments or are interested in learning more about how this works. Okay, so without any further delay, let's get into our digital whiteboard and start the exercise for today. In addition to the final nice looking deliverable, we've also summarized all of our decisions here on this frame. We have our long-term vision, our brand values, our what, how, and why, bringing joy through flavor, our competitive position, our value proposition compared to our competitors, and the elements that make up our persona Sam. So now in this final day, we need to figure out our positioning statement. This is a formula that we do with 4 elements in it: prime prospects, competitive frame, differentiator, and aspiration. And what we want to do is summarize what we would say for each of these. So prime prospects, that's Sam. What short description are you going to use for her? Our competitive frame, what industry are we in? Our differentiator, what makes us special? And our customer aspiration, who do they want to be by being a Seed and Mill customer? What does it say to them? How does it relate to them emotionally? So for our first exercise, I want to have a summary of each of these separate categories. What we're going to do after this, and this is a question I often get, is how much does language matter when we're doing this? What we're going to do with this is plug it into the formula you see on top and rearrange the words and change some words around. So what we want to do is get a really good direction for concisely where do we want to go with each of these. Don't worry too much about the individual wording or if it sounds a little bit clunky, because that's how we're going to start out. So it's okay if it's a little clunky, but your objective in this is try to get as concise definition as possible for each of these. Before we get into this exercise, are there any questions about what each of these particular categories mean?
Andy, would you be able to give us that same toothpaste analogy that you gave the other day and maybe just read that sentence out with an alternative industry?
Sure. So let me write it into our Miro board as we go so we can follow along. So, so for prime prospects, this would be parents with young children. Our competitive frame is kids toothpaste. Our differentiator is fun flavors and colors. And then the aspiration would be to form good habits early, right? So we take these summary statements and put them into this clunky positioning paragraph. So for parents with young children, Kids Toothpaste is the Kids Toothpaste brand that uses fun flavors and colors so that you can form good habits early on. And then we're going to take that and wordsmith it and cut it down and change it to make it much more concise. But this is where we say, here are all the points we need to cover for this statement. Does that answer your question? Okay, excellent. So if there aren't any other questions about what each of these means, let's get started. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes and just think about how do we concisely describe each of these things, and use the summary frame that we have above as your reference. If you get lost about what our differentiator is or what our aspiration is or our prime prospects, look above. That's going to be your reference to lean on the decisions we've already made in this workshop series so far. So I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. If we need extra time, we can absolutely take it. For those of you that are following along on YouTube, if you have ideas for each of these, please put them in the YouTube comments. Your comments thus far and your contributions this week have shown up in about 30% of the results. It's so valuable that you make these contributions. So please help us with this exercise as well by contributing to the YouTube comments. Eliza is going to take those and put them right here on the blue sticky notes. The team here on the live stream is going to work in the yellow sticky notes. And so, okay.
And Andy, one more question. So you want us to pick a row and stick consistently in that row?
Sure. For simplicity's sake, that sounds good. It's not as important with this exercise. If you really feel compelled to skip rows, that's fine. But yeah, I think for organization, we can just pick a row.
Okay, great.
All right, so I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes and let's get started. All right, and so for those of you on the YouTube channel, we're going through our prime prospects, competitive frame, differentiator, and aspiration. We'd love to hear from you and any ideas you have. So please let us know in the YouTube comments, and Eliza's going to take stock of those and drop them into our blue stickies here. Yeah, Tulio, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down a little bit so the audience can take a look at what we've started. Thank you. Yeah, this is where we're starting to fill in our ideas for prime prospects, competitive frame, differentiator, and customer aspiration. If you have ideas for these, please let us know in the YouTube comments. We're going to record them here as well in the blue sticky notes. So once again, our categories are prime prospects, who we're talking to, our competitive frame, what industry we're in, the differentiator, what makes seed and mill special, and the customer aspiration, what's the emotional value that customers get out of being a seed and mill customer. And thank you to the audience for your contributions. They're so valuable. So if you have any, please let us know for each of these categories. We're going to take a little over a minute left, and then I'm going to call out some of the ideas that we've done in each of these categories. As a reminder, once the idea goes up there, there's no owner of the idea. It becomes all of our idea. So there's no ownership of ideas here. It belongs to the group, and we're going to go through them as if they belong to each of us. So once again, that's prime prospects, the competitive frame, what industry we're in, the differentiator, what makes seed and mill very special, and the customer aspiration, what it means to be a seed and mill customer from an emotional value standpoint. Okay, there's our soothing timer from Miro, a very unobtrusive way of letting us know that time is up. So while Eliza continues to record some of the responses from the audience, I'm going to go through and just read what we've got for each category. What happens next is we're going to take a vote on these particular categories and try to narrow down what we like in particular. So for our prime prospects, we have the conscious foodie, the conscious consumer, family-oriented 30-something, foodies with a career and family focus, health-conscious working moms, the connected and curious, the bon vivants, and the flavor enthusiasts. For our competitive frame, we have delicious seed-based food, cultural food experience, a delectable, accessible indulgence, an everyday indulgence, seed-based indulgence, the pantry indulgence, another everyday indulgence, and another seed-based indulgence. I'm going to actually take out those redundancies here because we're going to vote. For differentiator, we have it makes them feel good. It's a modern classic with premium ingredients, clean ingredients and interesting flavors. It's accessible premium. There are creative ingredients and recipes and rooted in culture. And we have another rooted in culture up there from the audience. I'm just going to remove this redundancy. And then finally, for the customer aspiration, We want to build memories through food, connect and nourish your soul and belly, share delicious food with friends and family, make joyful memories together, connect with ancient cultures, and eat joyfully. Okay, so these are all of our ideas together. And our next step now is to take a vote. So I'm going to set up our voting system here. And for those of you in the audience, thank you so much for these great contributions. We're going to ask you also to help vote. Eliza has some votes specifically delegated for the audience. So let us know what you think are the strongest ideas out here, and we're going to make sure to record those too. Since there are 4 categories, we're each going to get 5 votes. And I'm going to give us 3 minutes to vote on there. Are there any questions before we jump right into this vote here? No? Okay, so I'm starting the voting now. For those of you in the audience, we'd love to hear from you. So please let us know what you think are the strongest categories in the YouTube chat, and Eliza will make sure to vote for you.
Andy, it's 4 votes for the team, right?
5 votes for the team, it should be.
Thanks.
Yep.
And Andy, can we vote on multiple things? Or can we vote on the same thing multiple times?
You absolutely can. So if you love an idea, you can do multiple votes on that idea. Okay, we've got a little over a minute left on the vote. If you've got ideas from the audience, please let us know. Eliza is going to record your vote now, so please let us know, and we will make sure that this is recorded. We've got a little under a minute left. Okay, and for those of you that are just tuning in, we're voting on the elements of our positioning statement. So our prime prospects, competitive frame, differentiator, and customer aspiration in order to combine these elements into one concise statement. So we've got about 10 seconds left on voting. If you if you're in the audience, you want to let us know, speak now. Okay, and so that's it for the voting. Let's take a look at the results.
We missed one opportunity. We had one vote left. We still have people typing in, but that was for build memories through food.
Okay, great. We'll make sure we have a note of that. So if our team could help us just highlight the ones with the most votes here, we have. Let's take all the ones with multiple votes.
And Andy, are we doing it the same as past days in that the teal and the gold? Awesome.
Yep. So these are the ideas with multiple votes. Okay, so we've got some interesting votes for the aspiration. So I might want to continue to highlight some of those, but let's start into our discussion here. We need to make a decision for each one of these categories, and let's start with our prime prospects. So we have two elements with multiple votes. We've got the conscious foodie and the connected and curious. Would anybody like to speak to what they voted for?
Andy, I voted for conscious foodie. And I did that. I really liked, I thought that was just a very eloquent and simple. The word foodie has a little bit of playfulness to it. And conscious brings in so many elements of memory and connected and empowered, and that idea of not being the bystander that we talked about yesterday. I thought that was a really succinct and great summary.
So I voted for connected and curious. And the reason that I did that was because I remember a few days ago when we were talking about, or that was just yesterday, when we were talking about the customer persona, we were talking about curiosity. And that was something that Rachel mentioned, that you really loved the element of curiosity. And I think that connects to one of our brand values, which is global.
Yeah.
So I voted for the connected and curious, but actually, Rachel, after hearing your summary of why you like conscious foodie better, I kind of changed my mind. I like conscious foodie now. I had taken it to mean, we're very conscious about ingredients and what they're going into their body, but conscious can have so much more meaning than just that. So in terms of being connected and thoughtful. And I know that you said in previous sessions that being thoughtful is an important thing. And if you're buying premium, you are conscious of what you're buying. So I actually kind of like that one also.
Yeah.
I also would.
Oh, sorry, Eliza.
Sorry. Yeah. Just obviously that came from the audience, which is cool. But I would say I really like I like both of those answers a lot. I would say connected and curious could mean a lot of things, like connected meaning technology, meaning networking, like you're a very connected person can mean a lot of things that are not necessarily defined by what we're talking about. So yeah, like I like conscious foodie.
All right, so are you ready to make a decision?
Yeah. Just to clarify, Lizzie, by the way, I loved connected and curious too. It was the word curious really stuck out for me there. I just felt that conscious brought in an element of curiosity, whereas it wasn't quite it was just more of an encompassing word. So I'm going to vote for conscious foodie.
Great. So I've moved that up to our formula up here. All right, now let's talk about our competitive frame. We have a lot of indulgences here, which is very interesting. But the ones with the most votes are everyday indulgence and pantry indulgence. Does anybody want to talk about what they wrote or what they voted for?
A lot of votes from the audience on everyday indulgence. The cultural food experience was the other outlier, or not outlier, the other beloved response from the audience.
Why don't I highlight that one too? I think cultural food experience is pretty strong, but yeah, I voted for pantry indulgence because it's not something that you're going to eat every single day. So that was why I had some hesitation about every day, but I'd love to hear what some of you think. Yannick, you've been kind of quiet. Can I call on you to ask your opinion?
Yes, of course. So for me, our products are not necessarily something you cannot eat every day. I myself, but I know a lot of people who use tahini in basically everything. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to eat a whole block of halva, of course. I would recommend not doing that every day. But I feel like our products are pretty versatile. So I feel like there's actually a lot of people that would eat it every day, because you can drizzle a little bit in your yogurt or crumble a little bit of halva on your granola, or there's just so many different ways of eating it. So between everyday indulgence and pantry indulgence, I actually prefer everyday indulgence a bit more. It also relates to the accessible and the things that we spoke about yesterday.
And to chime in from just a purely definition perspective, the word pantry in the food industry tends to relate to non-perishables. So that could be a little bit misleading.
Yeah, Eliza, I was thinking the same thing, because tahini is a bit more of a pantry staple, but halva is something we recommend to keep in the fridge. And I thought everyday indulgence has a slight juxtaposition to it. It's almost like it's an indulgence, but you can have a little bit every day. And I like the connection of those two words together.
Okay, great. Are we ready to make a decision on this category?
Yep, I'm going to pick everyday indulgence.
Great. Okay, now let's look at our differentiator. We have a lot of votes for rooted in culture, and we have votes for a modern classic with premium ingredients. Would anybody like to talk to what they voted for in this category?
I'm happy to quickly jump in. I hate always hogging this conversation, Andy. But I do want to acknowledge here, this modern classic was actually I put that one in myself and I voted for it, but it was a word that I'd seen one of our audience members use. So I was looking over the YouTube comments on Tuesday, I think, and I'd noticed one of our audience members had used that, and it really resonated for me. So I wanted to repeat it again here.
Yeah, that's great. Lizzie, it looks like you have some thoughts as well.
Yeah, so I actually voted for accessible premium on this one, but the reason that I voted for accessible premium was because I wanted it nodded to two things. It nodded to the everyday element, the grounded kind of down to earth elements that we were talking about yesterday, but the premium, it was the combination of the two. And now looking at modern classic with premium ingredients, it shares a lot of the same characteristics. So I would be happy to move my vote in that category from accessible premium to a modern classic with premium ingredients.
All right, well, do we feel ready to make a decision on this category too?
Janja, have a thought on that?
So I actually voted on the modern classic as well, because I also feel that the classic kind of brings in the rooted in culture. For me, at least, that's how I kind of read it as well. So I think that's a good choice.
Okay, so is that our final decision for the differentiator?
Yep.
Great. I'm going to move this up to our formula. Okay, and finally, we have the aspiration. There were a lot of votes spread out through all of these. These were just the ones that had the most votes: build memories through food, connect and nourish your soul and belly, and eat joyfully. I will point out that eat joyfully had the most votes of any sticky across any category. So would anybody like to speak about what they voted for and a particular idea?
We had a lot of votes from the audience on eat joyfully and the build memories through food. We even had an audience suggestion that was the same as build memories through food, but I didn't put it up there for redundancy's sake. I like eat joyfully. I think joy has been a very common denominator in that it is one of our brand values. And it's what I feel is missing so far from this statement, where we're talking about being conscious, we're talking about, accessible indulgence and, ingredients that are both modern and classic, but what's missing here is that emotional, why do all these things matter? And it's like, well, because we want to, like, bring joy to the eating experience. And Eat Joyfully summarizes that.
I actually have sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a quick thought. I really liked Eat Joyfully as well. It really stood out for me. But looking through the other options, like build memories, connect, maybe we could even say Eat Joyfully together to kind of bring that element in the statement as well.
I like that. I like that as a suggestion. Let me make another note of that down here. Eat joyfully together. That's really good. I have a strong stance toward including memory in there. And here's why. Throughout this experience, I've heard about these customer stories about how they went and tried the halva and then went and got engaged, or how people are saying, this reminds me so much of when I was a kid and my parents would have the block of halva out, or this, this tastes like a memory that I have, and it's so evocative. More so than any food category I think I've worked in before, this is such a powerful association with upbringing and with moments. And I think we would be remiss not to include something about memory. And that kind of also goes back to our big vision too, about being an iconic brand that is included in people's memories and having an importance at important moments, whether those are everyday cooking with your family or a celebration. It's one thing that I've heard over and over again. One thing that I think is really powerful about this particular food category. So I feel very strongly that we should try to include memory in here somehow.
I have some feedback from the audience that because we do talk about modern classic, it kind of ties in that old and new. The audience does like memories through food, but we also have people that are saying Eat Joyfully. One thing I'll say personally is I do like the idea of memory. But it's also something that, if we want to be a beloved brand in the future, and it's going to be a global brand, it has to be about building memories around this thing, but it also has to be forward thinking and not just backward thinking. And memories tend to make me think that it's something from the past, not something that I'm from the future.
Yeah, I wonder how might we incorporate the fact that this is there at such important emotional moments in people's lives without necessarily using the word memory?
What about build joyful memories?
Yeah, there's one out there that says make joyful memories together.
I mean, the word together does imply you're with other people, and you are essentially, when you eat with someone else, there's an implicit memory there, maybe. I don't know. Yaninka, I really love that suggestion of Eat Joyfully together. I was actually trying to combine a few words there as well, rather than picking one block.
Hi, I just wanted to contribute a pitch to this conversation. What about something like moments rooted in joy that kind of encapsulates the memory aspect and the joy aspect? I don't know what you think about that.
I like moments as an alternative to memory. I think
and from the audience, we just got a cool option too of instead of memory, using experience. So moment or experience, because an experience becomes a memory.
Yeah, it's a great point. I like moments though, actually, Tulio. I think that also is a more emotive word than memory in a way.
I think it's also like I love together, but I feel strongly that that leaves out you can build moments individually as well. And there have been times over the past week where, you know, I've opened the halva and I haven't told my husband that I'm opening the halva because I just want it by myself, you know? So I want it, I like the inclusive element of, I think this is something, your products are really something that can be enjoyed both individually and with other people.
I love that, Lizzie. I do that too. Sometimes I like sneak downstairs and you hope that no one else is like catching you, and you just want to have that indulgence completely uninterrupted and on your own.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
So I have written down here, create joyful moments. And by the way, I have also had that experience of sneaking in a little bit of halva. But so create joyful moments, I think, has a kind of summation of what we're seeing here. How does that sound to everybody?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Are we ready to make a decision on this category?
Yeah, it's the toughest one, Andy. I think this has been a very constructive conversation, both amongst us and loving these audience comments, Eliza. So please jumping in. It's always like I wait with bated breath. What does the audience think? What's the audience think?
They like joyful moments. I'm getting feedback right now. Create joyful moments. People like the word moments. So thumbs up from the audience.
I think also from looking at this from a holistic perspective too, since we chose conscious foodie for the first one, that incorporates the food element. And I like the kind of the fact, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. We incorporated the food element in the first one.
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to make a decision?
Yeah, I like create joyful moments. That's really great outcome.
Awesome. Okay, great. So now we have all the elements we need to make this short statement. We should try to encapsulate all of these things. And so here is what the statement sounds like right now. It's going to be a little bit clunky. So for the conscious foodie, Seed and Mill is the everyday indulgence that is a modern classic with premium ingredients so that you can create joyful moments. So that is what we need to say. This is everything we need to say in our positioning statement. And so now our job, this is the really, really tough part, is to take this paragraph and get it down to 10 words. And we're not going to get there in the first step. So what I'm going to start to do, we actually have below this a scratch pad. And I'm just going to write out, this is a simulation of what we do in real time with our clients, is we just have an open whiteboard. So I'm just going to start by writing it out. Oops. Oh, my text is very small. Hang on 1 second. Okay. Okay, so this is our starting point. For conscious foodies, Seed and Mill is the everyday indulgence that is a modern classic with premium ingredients so that you can create joyful moments. What we want to do is rearrange this statement, shorten it out, get rid of redundancies so that we can get this down to 10 words. So it's a little bit of a puzzle and just playing around with words. So usually what we do is I'll take a first stab at it. Actually, Eliza, if you could unclick on that, please, so that I could select it. Thank you. So what we do is I usually just take a first stab at it, and then we kind of start a discussion based on it. Um, so I'm just looking for redundancies here. So I just eliminated some redundancies just to say seeded meal is the everyday classic with premium ingredients so that you can create joyful moments. So that's kind of the first stab at shortening it. But what I'd like us all to do is we can work in the Scratchpad and try to come up with shorter statements. You can work off the one that I just did or off the top, but let's take a few minutes to just kind of work in parallel, see what we come up with. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. And this is where the audience can really help too. If you have ideas for how we can shorten this statement, root out a few words. We don't need to get to 10 words just yet. But if we can shorten this down and pull out the most important elements, that would be really helpful. So I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes, and on the Scratchpad, if we could each just start to write down our ideas of how we might shorten this. Any questions about this part of the activity?
Andy, you're going to kill me for jumping in here with with a kind of concern that you probably won't like, given it's a addition of words rather than subtraction. But one thing, like as I read this, if I was to use this as my tagline to a new person who knows nothing about cedar mill, the one thing that's really missing, where we say it's a everyday classic with premium ingredients, it doesn't really tell me. It doesn't tell me, is it a snack? Is it a beverage? Is this a condiment? Is this, and I think we took out the word seed based, but because I was thinking if we said is the everyday classic snack or is the everyday classic pantry staple, or it's getting very narrow. But I think this is a bit confusing for the person who knows nothing about our brand to even work out that we sell food.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a very good point. So we said for the conscious foodie, should we say, we have our competitive frame that says we're the everyday indulgence, but let's make sure to include that in there as well. I think you're absolutely right. So do we want to say seed-based food, or how do you describe that category?
Yeah, I mean, seed-based food is as broad as we need to be. If we narrowed it down, it's a bit of a boring statement, I'll be honest, but at the end, it's very rational, and maybe rational and clear is easy. I think we can't narrow it into snack, because tahini is not really a snack, even though halva might be a snack, and halva is not a condiment, whereas tahini is more of a condiment. It just becomes hard. So seed-based food and our spices, it all just gets a little bit of a mess.
So we need to include the fact that we're a food company.
Yeah, or a food brand, but seed-based food.
Okay, great. So that's good to keep in mind. Let's take a stab. I'm gonna set a timer for 5 minutes, and let's just start coming up with some ideas of how to necessarily shorten this and make sure that we're preserving all of those elements. And I think you're absolutely right. In order to fulfill our criteria of being obvious, we do need to say that we're some kind of food company or food brand. And so for those of you in the audience, please let us know your thoughts on how to shorten this statement. We could not be where we are without you. So please let us know if you have any ideas of how to shorten this. All right, and so for those of you that are just tuning in, we're working on shortening our statement so that we can create a concise and powerful statement for Seed and Mill to position around. We've got the elements of the positioning statement that we need, and now our job is to shorten it and remove redundancies and capture the ultimate meaning. So if you have ideas and you're tuning in from the audience, please do let us know so that we can include these up here and discuss how we might shorten this statement. So right now we're just working through our scratch pad and we've got about a minute and a half left. So if you have ideas of how to shorten this, please let us know in the YouTube chat, and Eliza will be sure to write down your ideas. And so when we're done writing our ideas, we're going to continue with a little bit of our unstructured discussion. If you have ideas, please do let us know in the YouTube chat, and Eliza will be sure to chime in. We've been really excited to hear from the audience whenever they have ideas. Okay, it looks like we've got a lot of ideas here, and we've got about 10 seconds left. So we'll wait for our soothing timer here. But then let me run through, we'll take some time to run through what we've got. We can talk about what we like, what we don't like, if there are any up there that feel really good to us. So there's our soothing timer. Let's just run through these ideas that we've got here. So there's a lot to go through. And I'll start from the top. So we have started from, for conscious foodies, Seed and Mill is the everyday indulgence. That's a modern classic with premium ingredients so that you can create joyful moments. We know that we need to include the fact that it's a food company or a food brand. So starting from the top, I have Seed and Mill is the food brand that creates joyful moments, or Seed and Mill creates joyful moments with food. Seed and Mill is the everyday indulgence that creates joyful taste moments. Seed and Mill creates joyful moments through premium seed-based foods. Seed and Mill is the everyday food indulgence that creates joyful moments. You can see a theme here. Everyday indulgences, creating joyful moments for the conscious foodie. Seed and Mill sparks joyful moments with indulgent seed-based foods. Seed and Mill creates joyful moments with seed-based everyday indulgences for conscious foodies, creates joyful memories with everyday indulgences for conscious foodies, brings your premium seed-based treats to create joyful moments. Seed and Mill is a seed-based premium food for joyful moments of indulgence every day. It's the everyday indulgence that uses seeds to create joyful moments. Create joyful moments using seed-based foods for everyday indulgence creating joyful moments for the conscious foodie, creates joyful moments with everyday seed-based foods. So we've got a lot of ways of kind of saying the same thing. So I want to highlight a few things in here that I really like. So this one is super short, creating joyful moments with food. There was another one down here that was a little different that I really liked. Let's see. Feel free to chime in if there was anything that you saw that you really like on this list.
I like Seed and Mill is the seed-based premium food for joyful moments of indulgence every day. And I would, if I can, want to edit it to just say Seed and Mill is the premium food for joyful moments of indulgence every day. Because since seed is in the name, that to me signals that we can remove the seed-based because we have food in there.
Yeah.
If I can chime in, I do feel food is very broad. It doesn't really tell you what we are offering.
I really like this one. And what I really liked about it was seed-based treats. It gives you premium seed-based treats that to create joyful moments. This one is really, really strong to me. Are there any others that we really like? I'm going to start a second scratch pad over here to the right, just to eliminate some of our ideas.
Andy, we often like to use the word treats, but I just feel like treat doesn't resonate well with the tahini or the spice. So as much as I do love to use the word treat for halva, I think that's a bit too narrow. Can I make one other suggestion? It's not on the scratch pad and I had a little bit of trouble writing my comments, but there's one at the very bottom that I like but wanted to edit slightly. So the one that says Cedar Mill creates joyful moments with everyday seed-based foods. But I wondered if this sounded good. So Cedar Mill creates joyful moments with indulgent food you can enjoy every day, or indulgent food. I don't know. And now I'm getting back to too many words, but
that's okay. This is just the first step along. So actually, I've captured kind of the best moments here on our messy scratch pad. Tulio, if you want to navigate over to the right, I've created another scratch pad with just our best ideas here. Much cleaner, right? Yeah. So let's talk about these now. So Cedar Mill creates joyful moments with food. Cedar Mill brings you premium seed-based treats to create joyful moments. Treats is kind of a word that we might want to substitute, but I think this is a really strong start. It's a seed-based premium food for joyful moments of indulgence every day, and creates joyful moments with indulgent food that you can enjoy every day. One thing that I might want to eliminate is every day. I don't know if the daily element is something that's so important to put in the value that we have. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. You can take it out. I think the purpose, though, of it being there was to differentiate between this indulgent, and it made the indulgence seem a little bit more accessible or permissible, or people often used to say it's like a permissible indulgence. But I think that's just getting too wordy, and a little, that word isn't going to resonate very clearly. And maybe the word joyful moment has that degree of accessibility that you don't really need the word every day. I think that does imply something that's accessible.
Yeah.
One thing I've been thinking, looking at these statements, I don't really think that Cedar Mill is the one that creates the moments. I feel like our customers who eat our products are actually creating the joyful moments.
That's true. That's a really good point. So what I've got at the bottom here, Cedar Mill makes premium seed-based treats to create joyful moments. I like the idea of to create joyful moments. So that kind of sums up what you're saying, Annika, which is we're making the treats, you make the moments. Let's think of a word other than treats, because I think that was kind of a not quite the right word there. So is there something that we might want to use instead of the word treat?
Products, food. I'm trying to think of other synonyms.
So I actually entered this one, and I was also thinking about the treats, which we usually use for the halva, the soft serve. But then I was also thinking we have a lot of customers telling us that they kind of treat themselves to our tahini or our spices because they're just so much better than the other products that they've tried. So that's why I decided to say treats anyway. And also, I think all the other alternatives that we've come up with so far, products, seed-based products, it's all pretty, it doesn't really have that emotional touch to it that I feel our brand kind of deserves.
Yeah, it's such a good point, Jan. I like your word treat there in the sense that you're treating yourself to something indulgent. It's a really strong point, but I get stuck with worrying that the average person who knows nothing about our brand, this is the first thing they're going to hear or read. Are they going to then assume that we're a sweets-based candy style? It just worries me that I don't think that brings in enough. It's all about first impression, you know what I mean? And the first impression of the word treat is candy and sweet things.
Well, to me, treat means something special and something a little bit premium. And so actually, to me, treat does not say sweet, but that's just my perspective.
I think
what do you think?
We have some, we are split in the audience about the word treats, about half and half saying that it makes them think of sweet things and some liking that. I think coming back to that indulgent conversation, like the conversation around indulgence and the like everyday indulgence is, you can be indulgent with savory foods as well. You can be indulgent, even in, it's like a much more acceptable way to say gluttonous. And you can be gluttonous with food. You can be gluttonous with your time spent, with friends, or indulgent can mean putting like, extra sauce or extra tahini on something. Whereas treat has two negatives to me, and that is it either makes people think of sweets or it makes them think that it's an occasional thing or that it's not something that they can have all the time. If something is a treat, it's like you had to earn it.
Yeah, and also it's true, but also, Eliza, the other point, I want to bring us back to that conversation we had about the size of the market and who we're competing with. And if we were to say to ourselves, we're trying to get people to buy tahini as a replacement for peanut butter or tahini as a replacement for ketchup, if that's the market we're talking about, you wouldn't use the word treat to describe peanut butter or ketchup. And this is just the very interesting marketing problem we have, which is some of our products, like the halva, is a treat. The tahini, for me, just doesn't feel like a treat, even though I hear everybody's thoughts on, treating themselves to something indulgent. But I just want to be very clear with our consumer when we talk about our brand. And I think treat just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I was going to suggest delicacy, and I'm seeing Elizabeth is also putting that word in, and I think that that is a word that kind of encapsulates a lot of different things, and it can mean different things to different people. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there too.
I've got a couple of points from the audience that food, does work. The other thing about saying treats is that someone in the audience says it makes me think of cat or dog treats. So you'd have to, you might be combating people being like, oh, like for cats. I personally, delicacy makes me think of caviar and like oysters and like things that like I only have on very, very special occasions or like that rich people eat. So I would stay away from that because it like is contrasting to our being accessible and down to earth. And I mean, to me, I think it just keeps coming back to foods.
Yeah. So I've got a slightly more the next step, I think, in what we're doing, which is Seed and Mill makes seed-based food to create joyful moments. How does that feel to everybody?
It's very literal, and maybe that's good.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think for me, the best fit is food here rather than treats. And you're totally right about the dog treat thing, and how it doesn't quite work. Um, so I think food is okay, and it really does capture that. We look at delicacy, pleasure, delight, indulgence. It says that it's not for every day. If we're looking at food, I think it is the right word here because we have to go a little bit broad.
We also had Andy, actually, from Crystal in the audience, suggested the same thing that you did, but with the word premium. Makes premium seed-based food to create joyful moments. And I don't know if that's something you want to add in there or not, but it's one idea.
I'm going to advocate for keeping premium in there too, because I think that premium is like, I keep wrestling with Yanenka's comments about the broadness of food and about the rational and lack of emotional element that the word product has. And I think that premium strikes a balance between being agnostic between tahini and halva, so the more savory and the more sweet, but yet it indicates this indulgent, like nicer element without being something like a caviar that Eliza, because I think Eliza's comments were also very spot on.
And one thing Clive in the audience pointed out is that it should be foods, not food. But I like this, and people in the audience are starting to leave their comments liking it as well. But what I like about the word premium is, just to piggyback on what Lizzie's saying, is it's really that like elevation. It's if we're taking the word indulgence out and we're taking the fact that this is high quality and all that, like adding premium back in also makes it sound more artisanal, which is, I think, part of what we want to be.
We could use artisanal instead of the word premium.
Yeah, I was actually going to suggest artisanal as well. Although sometimes I worry that artisanal just gets bandied around a lot and it's a subjective term in some ways. But I was also just going to ask what you thought of Cedar Mill makes quality seed-based foods to create joyful moments. I'm really resonating with the create joyful moments. I love that. I'm not 100% sure about the word premium. I do hear where we're all coming from. I agree it's better than delicacy, which is just way too inaccessible, but I worry that premium also doesn't speak to that accessible, approachable brand that we want to be. And it's a bit elitist. Do you know what I mean? Even though our products are expensive, they're expensive because we use quality ingredients. That's the sum, and we use quality packaging. And in a way, I'd rather people see that premiumness through the packaging or through the website or the effort, the thought and the effort that we put into the brand visual identity, I think already speaks to the fact that it's a premium brand. We don't need to say it in the sentence.
I like that word quality that you used. And normally quality doesn't have a lot of meaning, but in this context, I think it actually fits quite nicely. It's a little bit more down to earth than premium.
Yeah, and Rachel, the fear of coming across as not elitist is something that that I think has carried through the whole week. I've heard you say it multiple times, and so I think that that's an important element to make sure that we avoid in this statement.
Yeah, it's almost like if you compare it to another industry. I'm not trying to be the, I don't know, Cristal champagne brand for this, you know what I mean? We don't want to be expensive just to be expensive. The only reason that we are expensive is because of the sourcing quality that we bring to our ingredients.
Yeah. So I'm really liking this statement. Cedar Mill makes quality seed-based foods to create joyful moments. So how this is used, let's just take a step back, because I think we're kind of landing on something. So how this is used. This would be your description on Instagram. This would be the header on your website when you're pitching an investor or you're talking to a new supplier. You're talking to someone, in the office, and they say, "Hey, what do you do?" This is what you say. Hi, well, we make quality seed-based foods to create joyful moments. And the job that this has to do is that it sparks this interest. So they say, "Oh, wow, okay, tell me more." And so it's conversation is saying this value that we're creating, and then saving the how you do it for next. So how does this feel for that context, right? Can you imagine yourself saying, introducing yourself to a group, saying, Seed and Mill makes quality seed-based foods to create joyful moments. How does that feel?
I think it's something that I think I need to really mull over. It's hard for me to give you a definitive view, but I'm what's the word? I'm percolating over it.
Yeah.
We have some alternatives to quality coming from the audience. And a lot of people are chiming in. They agree. The suggestion is thoughtfully made seed-based foods to create joyful moments. And the reason people like that is thoughtfully made speaks to the artisanal without being a buzzword, but it also speaks to that conscious consumer being thoughtful and mindful, and also that it is this homemade type of quality. So that means we have to do a little bit of reworking of the sentence, but the audience is voting for thoughtfully made.
I like the word thoughtfully made. It's a little bit earnest, but I suppose that's kind of, it's very much aligned with the conversation we've had this week.
I think it's a little bit of a clunky when you're saying it out loud. That's kind of my feedback on it. I agree with the sentiment behind it. It's just a little bit of it doesn't roll off the tongue the same way that quality seed-based foods does. Thoughtfully made seed-based foods, it could go either way.
Yeah, I like that. I really hear that suggestion, Eliza, and it did resonate certainly with me personally. I love the word thoughtfully made, but as trying to take my personal hat off and try and think much more as a marketing, if this is really a marketing pitch, I don't know if it's going to come across so as effectively as we want it to.
We're also getting the word crafted thrown out there because crafted insinuates a lot of this.
Yeah, we could almost do Cedar Mill crafts seed-based food. Cedar Mill.
I'm going to move over to the top right here, Tulio, just so you know, for more room.
This is just a little bit by the by, but we hand make our halva, so there's a real craft feel to our halva, but tahini is not handmade, so it again doesn't have that same authenticity around bringing everything in.
What about Seed and Mill crafts joyful moments through seed-based foods?
Oh, I like that.
Can you say that again, Eliza?
Seed and Mill crafts joyful moments through seed-based foods.
I still think creates is stronger there than crafts. But yes, this is the trick, is to reverse the order. Julia, if you
and I want to I want to bring back Yaninka back into the conversation, because I do see the problem with that is that Seed and Mill is becoming the hero of this statement, saying that they're creating the joyful moment. And what Yaninka had said earlier is that it's not Seed and Mill that's creating the moment. It's the person who's indulging in Seed and Mill that creates the moment. What do you think, Yaninka?
Yeah, I still agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know if this order quite works. For that reason.
The audience really likes the word crafts versus creates, though, just to chime in.
Yeah, me too. I love that word. It's much more of an evocative word if we can use it somewhere.
I also think if you look at the top one right now, if you would use crafts instead of makes, for me, craft also indicates that it's thoughtfully made, it's high quality, so that you could actually maybe take out quality.
Sorry, I'm just trying to copy and paste this. So Seed and Mill crafts seed-based foods to create joyful moments.
And I would say I want to advocate for switching the word to that. So it would be Seed and Mill crafts seed-based foods that create joyful moments.
I really like that. Yeah, that's a really good suggestion.
I don't think, I just want to try saying this out loud. Seed and Mill crafts seed-based foods that create joyful moments. I think we've got seed, and it's a little bit tough. And actually having the two syllables in there separating that makes it flow a little bit better. So I actually still like makes quality. So Seed and Mill makes quality seed-based foods, or Seed and Mill crafts seed-based foods. It kind of feels a little bit, it's hard to describe, but I still think adding in the extra syllable adds enough separation in that statement.
Yeah, I agree. I love the word craft, but I see your point, Andy. It is going to be a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. Okay, so we're running up on time. I just want to see how we're feeling about this statement here. So it's fulfilling, let's look at our criteria here. It needs to be rational, emotional, and obvious. Our word count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're at 9 words. So we're okay, not including the brand name. So we're within the obvious moment. I think it does have a rational element. We make these quality seed-based foods. It has the emotional element with joyful moments, and it has this emotional history and connection there. So it's fulfilling all of our criteria. What I'm going to do is actually, Rachel, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you try just saying it out loud and trying it on?
Yeah. But just quickly, I was wondering, do you need to say seed and mill? Could we not just say we? And that way it takes out that duplication of the seed and the seed. If I didn't have to say wheat, seed and mill make seed based, then because it is a bit of like a tongue twister, but if I just said we craft seed based foods that create joyful moments, that was much easier to say.
And we do have some audience chiming in saying that quality should be innate. If you're not, saying it almost undermines the fact that it is, and yeah, so that's what the audience thinks. But I like what you're saying about crafting or crafts. We craft seed-based foods.
Yeah, I agree with the audience on that. It was the same point that someone was making earlier in the week about saying you're delicious is not really good enough. The customer decides if it's delicious, not the brand. So I hear whoever said that, I think it is a really strong point.
Okay, well, so you want to try on we craft seed-based foods that create joyful moments?
Yeah, I'm going to say it and hope that my children in the background are not screaming. So sorry, audience, for the fact that I'm a working mom.
Don't apologize for that.
No apology necessary.
I tried to negotiate a quiet space today, and of course they're like shouting in the background, so I put you all on mute, and I'm like, Oliver, be quiet. It's live on YouTube.
Yeah, this is the struggle of working from home and the Zoom life. So I think we can all sympathize.
All right, back to my task. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna say, hi, I'm Rachel Simons from Cedar Mill. We craft seed-based foods that create joyful moments. How'd that sound?
I think it sounded great. How did it feel to say it?
It felt good, actually. It was nice to have a simple, actually, taking out the Cedar Mill made a big difference suddenly.
Yeah, I think we're arriving at our final statement.
We're getting a lot of yes, love it, thumbs ups from the audience.
The audience is cheering you on, Rachel. Yannicka, how do you feel about this?
I think it sounded really good. I also like how it looks. I'm thinking ahead of our website, etc. And yeah. And I think the audience should be proud because they were a big part of this one too. So
Okay, so this is a really big one. Are we ready to make a final decision on our positioning statement?
Oh, so much pressure. But I felt good saying that.
You want to try it one more time?
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to pretend I'm pitching to a room full of investors. I'm standing on a stage. There's 1,000 people there. And I'm going to say, hi, everybody. I'm Rachel Simons from Seed and Mill. We craft seed-based products that create joyful moments. How'd that go?
I think that's a word that was different.
you said products instead of foods.
Oh, shit. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't swear live on YouTube. All right, let me try one more time.
One more time.
I said, hi, I'm Rachel Simons from Cedar Mill. We craft seed-based foods that create joyful moments. Nice?
There you go.
Okay, I'm trying my best. I shouldn't be doing this live, but
No, it's okay. This is something that you need to internalize and really practice saying over and over again. It's never going to feel that comfortable the first time you say it. The more you say it, it's just going to roll off the tongue and become second nature. Our positioning statement for Theory is that we make your brand marketing compelling, effective, and focused. That wasn't an easy thing to internalize and do, but I've said it about 1,000,000 times now, and so it's become much more natural. So this is the sort of thing that gets more comfortable with practice.
We have lots of applause from the audience. One point that we have that a couple of people have chimed in on is, and I know this adds words, I'm sorry to throw a wrench in the gears, is if it should be that create joyful moments or that help you create joyful moments.
I think so. Our rule of thumb, and that's a really good contribution. So first of all, thank you to whoever had that idea. Our rule of thumb when we're doing these things in a theory in general is if we have two kind of equal options, we always pick the shorter option. And so, yes, I agree that is good. It feels about equal to what we've got here, and therefore I think we should go with the shorter option. But that's a really good contribution. Thank you for that suggestion. Okay, so are we ready to decide on our positioning statement for Seed and Mill?
yep, let's do it.
Okay, so one more time with feeling.
All right, am I reading it?
Yeah.
Okay. We craft seed-based foods that create joyful moments.
Yay. Okay, amazing. So we took the time, we wrote the shorter letter, and here we are with our final positioning statement. And this is going to go right into that spot in the final deck that we have. It took a lot to get here, and this one statement does so much to get there. So actually, we have a special final board that we can do to display this. Tulio, for your reference, it's down 2 boards. So there we go. This is what you do. We craft seed-based foods that create joyful moments. And here it is, your position in the market. This is the, again, the statement that says, here's how you introduce yourself. Here's how you, here's the value you create in the market. And it starts the conversation when you're out there pitching this. This is the headline that goes in your website, your Instagram, etc. This is your position, your piece of language that you can use in the market now. And so we've done so much to get to this point. Again, we've looked at our customer, our company, and our competition, incorporated all of those elements into this statement. And we've come really far. We've made a lot of decisions about how we're going to look and talk to people in the future. And these are your guidelines now. So whenever you do marketing, any sort of communication out to your audience or your potential investors or collaborators, these are rules that you can follow to help focus your marketing. Say, this is what I know. This is exactly how I know I need to talk versus how I know I don't need to talk. So this should really help you execute moving forward. We've gotten feedback from our past clients that said this is so helpful in creating these statements. Whenever I go to write something, I always just go back and look at this brand book. It helps me tremendously. So our final deliverable for you is to clean up the language in that presentation we showed you before. We're going to add in 2 other slides. One is some examples of how to start to talk given these rules. The second is some visual do's and don'ts based on the rules that we've chosen here. What should you show and what shouldn't you show? Again, oh, there we go. Beautiful. So again, what should we say? What shouldn't we say to help make those marketing decisions even easier? So that's the final deliverable there. And so I just want to once more, we'll wrap up and thank our incredible audience for helping us get here. We could not have done it without you. So our sincere thanks. I'm humbled by the amazing contribution that we've had throughout this week. If you want to get in touch, if you're interested more in this methodology, if you're interested in working with us at all, or if you have questions or comments or anything, we would love to hear from you. So please go to our website at theorymarketingpartners.com and write in the contact box, and I'll get back to you personally. I try to respond to each and every person that submits that form as fast as possible. So please let us know what your thoughts are. We love hearing from you, even if it's just I had a great time. That really makes our day. So please do get in touch. Again, our website's theorymarketingpartners.com, and let us know if you'd like to continue this conversation. And then on the Seed and Mill side, I know there's also an offer here, Rachel, if you want to do the honors.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you everyone in the audience for participating today, and to the Theory marketing team. I'm really delighted with this process and the outcome. But for everyone in the audience, please stay in touch. Send us an email to info@seedandmill.com, and we will be delighted to thank you for your contribution to our brand with a discount coupon for your next order.
Okay, so thanks to everybody. We've made some incredible decisions. We landed in a great place. We craft seed-based foods that create joyful moments. This has become our identity. I think we landed in an amazingly powerful spot, and I can't thank everyone enough. So that concludes our 5 days of Theory Live. I think it has exceeded my expectations of how this went. Can't thank the audience enough, and please do keep in touch. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, everyone. This has been so much fun.
Thank you, everyone, and the audience for hanging out with me all week.